CGTV has a special team that has been investigating vaping at Center Grove, whether or not it is dangerous and whether or not it is a problem. Out of 70 times that we checked random bathrooms during the school day, we found 37 instances of students vaping, which is 52%.
But vaping is definitely something that every single week, if not more, there's reports in our office.
I think it's just because it's new and it's just one of those things that kids want to try. So it's been an issue here, but it's been an issue everywhere, even in the community. So from adults all the way to kids under the age of 18.
One reason vaping has grown in popularity is because it is often advertised as being safe and harmless. Common vaping sites spout statistics like e-cigarettes are 95% safer than smoking. One thing that is confusing is that e-cigarettes are marketed toward former smokers. Those ads say that e-cigarettes and vaping are better alternatives to cigarettes. Kevin Bogenschutz, a physician's assistant in a pulmonologist's office on Indy's west side, believes vaping has some positives, but for people, and especially teens, who don't transition from smoking to vaping, it can be hazardous.
Is it safer than smoking? Yes, that's what it seems to be. Is it a good alternative? You hate to say it's a good alternative, but it's a better alternative than smoking actual cigarettes.
However, it is not a good alternative for people who start vaping after being a non-smoker. A study released in March from the American Academy of Pediatrics found that chemicals in e-cigarettes have been linked to cancer-causing substances, or carcinogens, and are particularly dangerous for teen users. Although e-cigarette vapor may be less hazardous than tobacco smoke, our findings can be used to challenge the idea that e-cig vapor is safe, because of many volatile organic compounds we identified are carcinogenic, cancer-causing. Messaging to teenagers should include warnings about the potential risk from toxic exposure to carcinogenic compounds generated by these products.
They all have different mixtures of things. So the one I think we'll get to is the diacetyl. That's one that you have to look out for, and different things that can cause inflammation, different flavorings, different mixture of flavorings. From what I could tell, all have different components in it.
Adolescent e-cigarette only users have levels of 5 volatile organic compound toxicants detected in their urine in quantities up to 3 times greater than in matched controls. That means people who vape have 3 times more of the amount of these cancer-causing substances in them.
An interesting article came out about this one. So there's different types of white blood cells. One of them are monocytes, and it can be an inflammation marker. So the inhalation of the e-liquid can increase these monocytes. So it's basically an increased biomarker of inflammation. Fibrosis, that's COPD, asthma, it can kind of exacerbate all of these problems. And this is by the flavoring chemicals that we talked about before, what's inside of them. And these things might be, hey, this is safe for ingestion, but as far as inhalation, heating up the liquid and putting it in your lungs, that's where people are a little more skeptical about it. And it's the flavorings that you really have to watch out for, because these are going to increase the inflammatory markers.
One chemical is called propylene oxide, which is an extremely flammable substance that is listed as possibly carcinogenic to humans and used to make plastic. Another chemical is crotonaldehyde, which produces toxic vapors at room temperature and is used in the preparation of leather tanning and even in chemical warfare.
Researchers at Harvard found that 39 out of 51 e-cigarette brands contain diacetyl, as well as 2 similarly harmful chemicals that we have on here as well. And 92% of the e-cigarettes had a couple of these chemicals present.
Cancer and bronchial conditions sound scary, and if you are sitting there with asthma, this is particularly dangerous.
So for example, I've got a lot of younger asthma patients here. So for these patients, do I want them putting anything in their lungs to increase their inflammation markers? Absolutely not. They're on inhaled steroid medication in order to decrease the inflammation, help them take full inspiration. So putting this in that can increase their inflammatory markers would not be a good idea for them.
Vaping is not harmless, CG. For those of you who do it, you need to know the risks. Today's story was one of a 2-part series that explores the consequences of vaping. Tune in on Thursday for the next part in our series.